Oliver among the thieves. For many days Oliver remained in Fagin's room, picking the marks out of the pocket handkerchiefs and sometimes taking part in the game which the two boys and the merry old man played every morning. More than once Oliver asked the old man to allow him to go out to work with his two companions. At length, one morning, Fagin said that Oliver might go with Charlie Bates and the Dodger. The Dodger's hat was cocked as usual. Charlie Bates put his hands in his pockets and Oliver was between them, wondering where they were going and what kind of work he would do. But the boys were not in a hurry to start any work. They were just walking lazily along the street, and soon Oliver began to think his companions were going to deceive the old gentleman by not going to work at all. At this moment the Dodger made a sudden stop, and laying his finger on his lip, drew his companions back. "What's the matter?" asked Oliver. "Hush," replied the Dodger. "Do you see that old man at the bookstall?" "The old gentleman over there," said Oliver. "Yes, I see him." "He'll do," said the Dodger. Oliver looked from one to the other with the greatest surprise, but he was not permitted to make any inquiries. The two boys walked across the road and came up close to the old gentleman. Oliver stood looking at them in amazement. The old gentleman was a very respectable-looking person, with a powdered head and gold spectacles. He was dressed in a bottle-green coat with a black velvet collar, wore white trousers, and carried a bamboo cane under his arm. He took up a book from the stall, and there he stood reading it. He was so absorbed in reading that he saw neither the bookstall, nor the street, nor the boys, nor in short anything but the book. Oliver's eyes were wide open. The Dodger plunged his hand into the old gentleman's pocket, drew out a handkerchief, handed it to Charlie Bates, and the two boys ran away round the corner at full speed. In an instant Oliver understood the whole mystery of the handkerchiefs, and the watches, and the jewels, and the old man. He stood for a moment confused and frightened. Terror seized him. He took to his heels and ran as fast as he could. The very instant when Oliver began to run, the old gentleman, putting his hand to his pocket and missing his handkerchief, turned round. "Stop! Thief!" shouted the old gentleman with all his might and ran after Oliver. The old gentleman was not the only person who was running after Oliver. The Dodger and Charlie Bates, unwilling to attract public attention by running down the open street, hid into the very first doorway round the corner. When they heard the cry and saw Oliver running, they guessed exactly how the matter stood. They shouted, "Stop thief!" too, and like good citizens they joined the crowd, running after Oliver. The crowd was coming nearer and nearer to the wretched breathless child with agony in his eyes, and large drops of perspiration were streaming down his face. The next moment a heavy blow knocked the boy down, and in a moment there was a big crowd round Oliver. "Where's the gentleman?" "Here he is, coming down the street." "Make room there for the gentleman." "Is this the boy, sir?" "Yes, I'm afraid it is the boy." "Poor fellow," said the gentleman. "He has hurt himself." "I did that, sir," said the big fellow, stepping forward, "and I cut my knuckle against his mouth. I stopped him, sir." At that moment a constable, who is generally the last person to arrive in such cases, made his way through the crowd, seized Oliver by the collar. "Come, get up," said the man roughly. "It wasn't me indeed, sir," said Oliver, clasping his hands passionately and looking around. "Get up! Don't hurt him," said the old gentleman. "Oh no, I won't hurt him," replied the constable. "Will you stand upon your legs, you young devil?" The constable pulled Oliver along by the street to the police station. The old gentleman walked on with them. "There is something in that boy's face that touches and interests me," said the old gentleman to himself. "Can he be innocent?" continued the old gentleman, halting very abruptly and staring up into the sky. "Where have I seen a face like that before?" Suddenly a man in an old black suit rushed into the police station. "Stop, stop," he cried. "Stop a moment." "What is this? Who are you?" asked the constable. "I own the bookshop," replied the man, "and I saw what happened. There were 3 boys. This one and two others. Mr. Brownlow was reading and another boy took his handkerchief. This boy did nothing. He watched and looked surprised. Then the boy must go free, said the constable. He took his hands off Oliver and the boy fainted. Poor boy, said Mr. Brownlow, the old gentleman. Call a carriage, somebody, please, at once. A carriage came. Oliver was placed on one of the seats. The old gentleman got in and sat beside him. They rode away until the carriage stopped in front of a pleasant house in a quiet London street.